Hello everyone, thanks for tuning in to today's second video. We're doing the USA forecast for today's second video. So as always on a Wednesday, we're having a look at the weather for the next 10 to 14 days for the United States. We'll have a look at CFSV2 as well for the next 4 weeks. That'll take us pretty much to the beginning of November. I'll get on that for you in a moment, beginning of course in the tropical Atlantic. So more about that in a second. Just say about the first video release today was our 7 AM forecast. We've got a 10 to 14 day for the UK and Northern Europe. Coming up for you later on this afternoon, and then this evening at 7 PM, we're having a little sneak peek for Christmas. Yes, the Christmas countdown begins on the 1st of November, but we're going to do a couple of sneaky peek videos during October, just to get everybody ready for the beginning of the Christmas updates, formally starting on the first day of November. So more about that at 7 PM. That's going to be an interesting watch, I think. Entertaining, hopefully. Please like, share, subscribe on the video. Thank you so much, everybody, for doing that. Right, let's crack on with USA forecast then. So, got a little bit quieter in the tropical Atlantic for the time being. Got one disturbance area just here. That's disturbance 1. That's just got a 0% chance of cyclone formation in the next 2 days and a 10% chance in the next 5 days. I don't think we have to worry too much about that. Let's have a look at the latest GFS run from tropicaltidbits.com and see if any hurricanes or tropical storms are forecast to develop over the next couple of weeks. So just so you know where everything is, this is the east coast of the United States just here. That's the Gulf Coast just there, Gulf of Mexico just there, Caribbean just here, wider tropical Atlantic through there, and then this is the coast of Africa just here. Right, let's have a look then. So we go through the next few days and we can see that that little area, the disturbance area is off the Carolina coast by the time we get through to the weekend, but not really developing into all that much, to be honest. It may form an area of low pressure, but I don't think that forms a tropical storm. So for the rest of this week, looking pretty quiet. So we does start to pop off, though, by the beginning of next week around here. That's probably a tropical storm moving towards the far east of the Caribbean. Let's push on then and see what happens with that. So that moves northwards, does form a hurricane, probably. This is by the end of next week, Friday 15th of September. It looks like that's developed into a hurricane by then. Meanwhile, we've got a vigorous area of low pressure around here. That might be a tropical storm, but more likely to be just an area of low pressure, I would have thought, with that one. So let's carry on pushing through and we see what happens then. So yeah, nothing really close to the coast of America. This hurricane, well, it's probably a weak hurricane category 1, sort of knocking around the middle of the tropical Atlantic Ocean, but not really going anywhere fast. And other than that, not a huge amount going on up to the end of the GFS run, which gets us to the 22nd of October. So maybe we're going to have a rather quieter week or two as we go on through October. There's certainly no sign of any direct hits there on America or the Caribbean up to the 22nd of October. Of course, it's only one GFS run, so it could be wrong. And if we go back, we do have to keep a close eye on that area of a low pressure, probably a tropical storm. This one just here, it's quite a way off, and I say that could go anywhere. At the moment, GFS is taking that northwards, but of course it might go in that direction. So all eyes will be on that one. That's the main feature, I think, over the next week or two. Right, these are GFS upper air temperature and precipitation ensembles. Next couple of weeks, we're looking at Harrisburg today, capital of Pennsylvania, I think. So red line is 30-year upper air temperature average for Harrisburg, and we're starting off well above average at the moment. I'm going to stay above average for the next week to 10 days as well. So the delayed sort of autumn, delayed fall, ongoing, lingering summer continues for the next week to 10 days. Get into like the second half of October, that's the period just here. There is a bit of a cooling trend starting to appear there. So maybe by the second half of October, things will start to cool down. But certainly the next week to 10 days looking pretty warm. A lot of dry weather as well over the next few days through the rest of this week into weekend, and then on into next week it looks like things start to get more unsettled, so we will find some rain pushing through, but even then the temperature is staying pretty high, to be honest. Temperature anomalies from the 6th to the 14th of October are significantly warmer than average through most central eastern and northern states, especially so like through the Midwest and into most northern states, very, very significantly above average. It is colder out to the west, so the western states are getting the coldest temperature anomalies in the week ahead, but most parts of Central and Eastern America looking significantly warmer than normal. Precipitation anomalies varying from state to state. Looks quite wet through these northern western states. The far west coast states, though, they look drier, as does much of many of the southern states. And then going further northwards in towards the Midwest, it looks like turning a little bit more unsettled there, but the far east and northeast coming out drier than average. This is how the GFS is set up for today. So we've got low pressure out to the northwest. That's bringing cooler air and more showery conditions into the northwest. But otherwise, most central and eastern parts of the state dominated by this big area of high pressure, continuing to draw up very warm, if not quite hot air from the south, actually. There's the upper air temperatures, and we can see that it's pretty warm across most parts of America, especially these central northern states. Much cooler to the far northwest, around the Pacific Northwest. It is a lot cooler there, but otherwise very substantially above average today, with the upper air temperatures and the surface temperatures across most parts of America. For the rest of this week, going to say pretty warm. High pressure will continue in the east. That's going to carry on drawing up warm southerly winds into the weekend. A deepening area of low pressure will start to push in towards the Midwest. That will bring heavy showers and longer spells of rain. But at the same time, with the ridge over towards the east coast, these eastern and northeastern states will continue to be very warm with those southerly winds. Cooler out to the northwest as winds coming in off the Pacific Ocean. Into the early part of next week, the low pressure gradually tries to push eastwards, but really many of these eastern states are still dominated by that ridge of high pressure, keeping things dry and pretty warm on the eastern coast. However, the Midwest will turn more unsettled with showers, longer spells, rain, and may have this deepening area of low pressure out in the west. That brings some very wet weather potentially to those western and southwestern states, so like Nevada, Arizona, those sort of states might get some really heavy rain towards the middle part of next week, and a quite big drop in temperature as well, with winds coming in from the north, so a little bit unusual to be getting substantial rain in these western and southwestern states, but of course does happen, especially this time of the year. And that low pressure will start to transfer more towards Midwest as we get through towards the middle and latter stages of next week, taking the heavy rain with. But all the time, these eastern states remain under the ridge of high pressure, staying pretty dry and warm through many of these eastern states under that ridge. Out to the west, it's a lot cooler on the western side of this area of low pressure, much cooler through those western states into the end of next week. Heading up towards day 10 and beyond it, we find that low pressure moving up towards Canada. Generally, ridging continues across most parts of states. It perhaps turns a little bit more showery in these eastern and northeastern states, but not definitively autumnal by any means. It looks pretty warm still with the upper air temperatures in many parts of America, even into the middle of October. And then in the extended range, we sort of get this next ridge building on the east. So we can't get rid of these ridges at the moment on the eastern side of America. That will keep the generally quite warm and dry weather going in the east, always looking more unsettled out into those western states, and that's where it will be quite a lot cooler as well. Right the way up to the end of the GFS run, which gets to 22nd of October, look like that. Maybe starting to break down the ridge, weaken the ridge. Looks like heights are rising over Canada. That might be a signal to start sending the jet stream southwards, turning things cooler and more unsettled. But of course, that's a very long way off. It's over 2 weeks away, and generally the next week, 10 days certainly, it's looking pretty warm, I have to say, across many central and eastern parts of America. This is how the ECO is looking. The Euro, again, we've got that big ridge on the eastern side of America today, bringing up these very warm, if not quite hot, sort of southerly winds. Out in the west, it does look rather cooler and more showery. There's the upper air temperature. You see the Pacific Northwest is cooled down. Otherwise, most parts of America, again, looking pretty hot, I have to say, today. Especially those sort of Midwestern states. Go through into the end of the week and the weekend. The ridge is maintained in the east. It does start to turn progressively more unsettled the further west you go, however, with showers and longer spells of rain and cooler air coming in from the north as well through those western states. So yes, cooler and more unsettled in the west. Warm and mainly dry though. Proper sort of Indian summer or late summer type weather continuing in the east. Through to the middle of next week, again, there's that deep area of low pressure forming around these western and southwestern states. So those states that you normally think are like desert states, Nevada, Arizona, those sort of states could get quite a lot of rain, I think, through the middle part of next week, and a very significant drop in temperature as well. Meanwhile, in the east, the warm and dry weather continues with that ridge maintained across many of these eastern states. Probably turning more showery, though, with time. Big temperature contrast there across those southwestern states by the middle of next week. Really quite hot through Texas and a little bit further westwards, but then cooler is digging in from the north across these sort of western states. So quite unusual that. Just staying generally pretty warm across many of those northern and eastern parts of America. For the second half of next week, that low pressure transfers northwards in towards the Midwest, taking heavy showers, thunderstorms, longer spells of rain with it. Still reasonably dry though under the ridge on the eastern side of America. And then up to day 10, that's how we look. So the central northern states begins to get a bit of a drop in the temperature, getting hotter across western states and still maintaining the warmth in the east. The temperature never really drops across those eastern states. Right, CFSV2, lastly, these are 500 millibar heights break down to week periods. The first week period takes from the 5th through to the 11th of October. The coming week dominated by this area of high pressure, of course, in the east. That maintains the dry and warm weather across the eastern states, cooler and more unsettled with this trough of low out in the west. We get through to week 2, which is going to be the 12th to the 18th of October. Again, the eastern northeast states are dominated by high pressure, low pressure out in the west, bringing things, cooler weather there and more unsettled conditions, but the eastern northeastern states mainly dry and very warm. Go through to week 3, which is the 19th, 25th of October. Just quite a big ridge then builds from the west and the southwest to the northeast. We could get a trough of low pressure forming around here in the southeast, perhaps. And then into week 4, which is the 26th of October to the 1st of November. Pretty much back to where we are right now, actually. The ridge of high pressure is there in the east, and the trough of low pressure is out to the northwest. This could be a very warm October in many parts of America. Look at these temperature anomalies for week 1. It's a 5th to the 11th of October, cooler than average in the far west, but otherwise very substantially above average for most other parts of America. That goes on into week 2, but the cold area in the west gets more intense and pushes a little bit further eastwards, but the cold really is maintained across these western parts of America, and again through the central states, through the Midwest and into the east, it does look very, very substantially warmer than average once more. Week 3 just goes wide warmer than average everywhere. This is 19th, 25th of October, right way from the west coast to the east coast. It's above average temperature anomaly. And it goes on into week 4 as well, 26th of October, 1st November. A little bit cooler out to the far Pacific Northwest, but otherwise very substantially above average. This could be a really warm October for large parts of particularly sort of central, northern and eastern America. And then finally, precipitation looks like that. A bit of a three-way split this week. Week 1, 15th, 11th of October, looks a bit wetter in these western, particularly southwestern states. Drier through the central states, and then wetter again over towards the eastern side. Week 2 is going to be the 12th to the 18th of October. Wetter in the north, but dry in the east then. Week 3 will be the 19th to the 25th of October, just looking generally quite dry, especially across these northern states. And then into week 4, maybe a little bit unsettled, a little bit more unsettled then. This is 26th of October, 1st of November, just gradually start to get a bit more unsettled as we get through into the end of the month and the start of November, perhaps. That might be as we begin to send the jet stream southwards. We'd have to wait and see about that. Right then, so a warm October to come through many parts of America. The wait continues for like the first real push of winter from the north. There's been a few little cold snaps back in September, but there's not much sign of like cold snaps from the north, from Canada, over the next week or two. So generally looks like the wait for winter for those northern states continues. It will arrive in the end, of course, inevitably. Canada will get cold, and then that cold air will descend in the end into, large parts of America. But for the moment, the wait goes on, and summer continues to linger. We'll have another look next Wednesday, of course, but for this week's USA forecast, that's all for now, and thanks for watching.